Did a eulogy at my mom's my mom's wake. I wanted to share with you guys a snippet of that, and I hope that it brings you comfort, what little comfort it can. And I've never been able to read this without getting emotional. One time I've made it through without shedding tears, and I have not looked at this or read this in quite some time. So bear with me, and I'm going to do my best to get through it for you guys. And here we go. It says, I'm going to wrap this up, but I would like to speak to those of us who are hurting right now. I would like to speak to those of us who are hurting right now, myself included. Grief, it develops itself in different ways. Some of us distance ourselves, and some of us suffer in silence. Others find ways to numb the pain. Some of us find comfort in God or Jesus. And some of us are too angry to feel anything else but anger. Feel anger and disappointment. And what I've come to discover in my walk with Christ is God's mercy doesn't always appear as we expect it to appear. Before my mom got the cancer, I was praying for my family, my brothers and I, to become closer. And although we may not be as close right now, may not be as close right now as I would like us to be, we are still undoubtedly closer by going through these experiences in the past decade with her. That is God's mercy. Then, when my mom was first diagnosed with cancer, I came across a scripture where there was a king who was going to die. And in the Bible, he had prayed for God to extend his life, and God granted him an extension of 10 years. So I prayed, and I asked God for an extension on my mother's life. Not only was she in remission when she passed, but God blessed her with 12 extra years. That is God's mercy. But when my mom was dying, I couldn't pray. For some reason, the ambition wasn't there like it always was. In that moment, I recalled looking up and asking God, why am I having such a hard time praying for my mother right now? And I felt in my spirit, in that still small voice, the one you can only hear when you're alone with him. Because I don't want you to fight this. This is my mercy. We may not always like what God is allowing us to go through, but I can contest that He is always and is also compassionate. As it is written, for no one is abandoned by the Lord forever. Though he brings grief, he also shows compassion because of the greatness of his unfailing love. For he does not enjoy hurting people or causing them sorrow. As we leave here today and go lay my mother to rest, know that Jesus understands our grief and our sorrow in this moment. The scriptures say when Jesus came to the tomb of Lazarus, Jesus wept. He, at that moment, knowing that he was about to raise Lazarus, still wept. He allowed himself first to feel the grief and sorrow of death. So try to find comfort in him and trust that God sees and makes note of your tears. As it is written, you keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book. Our tears are physiologically a way for us to relieve pain. And God promises not a single tear is wasted. And thanks for bearing with me through that. I hope what I had to say there, someone finds comfort in that, somebody who's going through it. God's mercy doesn't always look like what we expect it to. And sometimes God's mercy, it hurts. It hurts. Death is only painful on the living. But I full-heartedly believe that my mother left knowing that we would be okay. And we are. When you're going through it, death can sometimes cause a lot of disruption in a family, break apart a family for a time. And if you're in that situation, I pray that you find healing and you and your family are healed and mended, because you need to rely on one another during this time. Be close to one another. Build one another up. Be strong when one's feeling weak. And I assure you, if you do not have a relationship with Jesus, if you do not know God, going through situations of life such as these are so difficult. And I remember times before this, before I was walking with Christ, before I had knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I remember being one of those people trying to numb my pain with alcohol, numb my pain with drugs, numb my pain with women, numb my pain with outside sources that could not help me in a way that God has helped me. Nothing has ever filled the void in my heart quite like Jesus. And if you heard me tell you in the last video, it's not a quick process. It's a slow refinery. It's a slow process. You don't change overnight. So yeah. Death is never easy. Death is never easy. But it's a part of life. And going through the experience alone is even more unbearable.